I was never interested in women and didn't want to get married. But my mom insisted that I marry you. But now that she's gone, I don't even need a wife anymore.
David hurled such insults at me, his wife. It was the day he returned from his business trip. A photo fell out of David's wallet. In the picture, David was with a woman in her 30s and a small boy, all smiling happily. It looked like a family photo. Folded with the photo was a piece of paper. It was a divorce paper, already signed by David. Moreover, David's name was already filled in. So he wants to divorce me and marry this woman? I decided to consult with my relatives, Tom and Laura. When I asked them what to do from now on, they came up with a proposal. While David was away for a week, I quickly submitted the divorce papers and carried out Laura's plan. Now I wondered how David would react when he returned to find our home completely changed. My name is Emily, and I'm a 45-year-old homemaker. I've been married into a prestigious family for over 20 years, but we don't have any children. The reason is that my husband, David, is the only son his parents had when they were older, and he likes to be the center of attention and dislikes kids. That said, from what I've seen, his parents are both good people and didn't seem to spoil him. It's just that David grew up with a possessive nature. I met David through a formal introduction. My first impression of him was that he didn't seem interested in women. Is this guy really serious about getting married? Looking at David, I hesitated about the marriage, thinking it was a rare, formal match even for that time. However, his mother, Mary, was an old acquaintance of my mom, and I had met her several times as a child. Mary, who seemed kind and gentle, really liked me. Mary took my hand and said gently,
Emily, you will surely make David happy.
That one sentence moved my heart. If he was raised by such a kind mother, he must be a good person. Thinking that, I decided to go through with the marriage. After we got married, we moved in with David's parents. But 2 years later, his father passed away in his 60s. Mary, deeply saddened, soon fell ill and required care. David, busy with his duties as the company president, left most of Mary's care to me with the help of a caregiver. 20 years later, despite my best efforts, Mary quietly passed away. Losing Mary, whom I adored, left me heartbroken. However, David didn't show any sign of sadness. On the contrary, he acted as if he now ruled the house. David had always been quiet at home since we got married. Since his father's passing, he had been working late every night as the president of the company he inherited from his parents. As a result, he rarely paid attention to our home, leaving important household decisions to me. But I didn't mind. He was a man of few words even during our formal introduction, and Mary had warned me that David was brusque and not very talkative, but not a bad person. So for the past 22 years, I accepted the lack of conversation between us as just the way things were. However, after Mary's death, David seemed to become harsher towards me. Tasks he used to do himself, he now ordered me to do in a yelling tone.
Hey, I'm about to take a bath. Why haven't you got my clothes ready?
What? You usually do it yourself.
Don't what me. You're my wife. It's your job to take care of me.
Sure, I'm a homemaker, so maybe I should do these small tasks, but he never asked for such trivial things before. I wondered what suddenly changed, but I complied. Oh, right. Sorry. I quickly got David's clothes ready. Was he just being considerate because I was taking care of his parents before? Maybe he couldn't act this way in front of them. I was just confused by David's sudden change in behavior. Being home all the time, I didn't have any close friends to talk to. The only person I could confide in was Laura. who often visited me during weekdays. Laura is married to Tom, David's cousin. Tom's father is David's father's brother, but since Tom had kids first, he's 5 years older than David, making him 50. Laura, his wife, is 48 and older than me, and she's someone I can always rely on for advice. Today, Laura came over again while our husbands were at work. Seeing me at the door, Laura looked concerned and peered at my face.
Emily, what's wrong? You look pale.
I touched my cheek and widened my eyes. Really? I didn't notice.
Have you been going through something tough lately? You can talk to me if you want.
I definitely had complaints about David lately. I started to tell Laura about how David had changed since Mary passed away. I found myself venting, but Laura listened quietly. I'm sorry. I haven't been able to talk to anyone about this, so I just ended up unloading on you.
It's okay. It sounds tough. It's hard to believe David, who was always so quiet, suddenly changed and got so short-tempered.
Laura seemed to be thinking about something. Her husband, Tom, is the vice president at David's company, and he often talks about work at home. Maybe Laura was recalling some stories about David at work. Then she looked at me as if she had an idea.
David. Well, he seems like the type who wants to be in charge. From what I've heard, that's how he is at work.
Her words were a revelation to me. Really? At home, David never seemed that way, so I never noticed. What does it mean to want to be in charge? David usually just sat quietly reading the newspaper at home, so I never thought about what other sides he might have. When I told Laura this, she smiled slightly and said,
I have a friend in a similar situation. When they live with their in-laws, some husbands push the care of their parents onto their wives and act quiet at home. But when the parents pass away, they suddenly start acting more domineering. You might want to be careful.
Thinking about it, she might be right. David now fits that description perfectly. Thanks, Laura. I'm glad I talked to you. I'll keep that in mind when dealing with David from now on.
Sure. If anything comes up, just let me know.
Talking to Laura made me feel much better. That night, I was in a good mood, humming while doing housework. When David came home, he gave me a puzzled look.
Why are you so carefree, humming and all? You're in a good mood.
Hi, David. How was your day? David frowned even more, seemingly displeased with my cheerful response. Does it really bother him that much to see me in a good mood? Curious, I asked him. You seem upset. Did something happen?
Nothing happened. I just get annoyed seeing you looking so carefree while doing housework.
What? Why? I couldn't understand what he was saying. Is he really bothered by me doing housework as a homemaker for the past 22 years? Then David muttered something under his breath that left me speechless.
You're useless now that we don't have kids, and you don't have to do any caregiving.
So, he thought I was enjoying myself now that I wasn't caring for Mary anymore. We don't have kids because David didn't want them. I didn't know how to respond. If I said the wrong thing, it would only make things worse. I decided to take a deep breath and stay calm. Well, since I have more free time now, maybe I should look for a job.
Hey, let me be clear. You're not allowed to take some part-time job around here. It would look bad for the wife of a wealthy household to be working part-time.
David indeed started acting all high and mighty as soon as Mary passed away, just like Laura said. Moreover, he clearly wanted to show that he believed he was above everyone else. I realized once again that men really do seem to think they're number one when their parents are no longer around. If part-time is not okay, maybe I should look for a full-time position. I was about to say this, but then worried whether I could suddenly handle a full-time job after not working for 22 years. Seeing me hesitate, David started to berate me.
I was never interested in women and didn't want to get married, but my mom insisted that I marry you. But now that she's gone, I don't even need a wife anymore.
What? That's...
Well, even the arranged marriage was just for appearances, since I was the next president.
David took advantage of my silence to say whatever he wanted. This was beyond just acting high and mighty. Thinking about my future with David made me anxious, so I asked, "Does this mean you want me to leave?"
No, I didn't say that. Anyway, I'm going on a business trip for a week starting tomorrow. Use that time to figure out what you can do.
Why does David always have to speak so arrogantly? It's useless to argue with him. During the week David was away, I spent my time feeling uneasy. I even thought about divorcing him and going back to my mom. But I lacked the confidence to live on my own after the divorce. My mom raised me by herself, so I can't burden her now. While I was thinking this, my phone rang. Seeing it was my mom calling, I answered immediately.
Emily, it's been a while. How have you been?
I'm fine. Hearing my mom's voice after so long lifted my spirits a bit. My mom is currently working far away, making it hard to visit often. That's why she couldn't attend Mary's funeral. Mom and Mary were old friends, and she regretted not being able to attend. But now that her work has settled down, she'll be coming back soon. The thought of seeing my mom soon made me happy. I can't wait to see you, Mom. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. When I come back, I need to properly apologize to Mary. I'm really sorry I couldn't attend her funeral.
There was a deep reason why my mom felt so strongly about Mary. Anyway, I decided to look forward to the day Mom comes back, and even after finishing the call, I still felt uplifted. Just then, David returned from his business trip. It was much later than planned, already past midnight. He had clearly been drinking and was stumbling around.
Hey, I'm home.
As soon as he said that, he collapsed in the hallway and fell asleep. I had no choice but to drape his arm over my shoulder and carry him to our bedroom. On the way, his wallet fell out of his pocket, so after getting him into bed, I picked it up. The wallet was open, with cash and cards sticking out. As I was picking them up and putting them back into the wallet, I noticed a small photo taken with an instant camera inside the wallet. Looking closer, I saw that it was a picture of David with a woman in her 30s and a small boy, all three of them looking happy together. It looked like a family photo. Alongside the photo was a small folded piece of paper that caught my eye. When I opened it, I realized it was a divorce paper. Moreover, David's name was already filled in. So he wants to divorce me and marry this woman? I shook David's shoulder to wake him up. David, wake up. David opened his eyes slightly, but then started mumbling in his sleep.
Oh, Emily, put all my stuff away.
What? Put everything away. Maybe he means the stuff from his trip, but he doesn't have that much luggage. At the hotel where he stayed, he could have his clothes clean, so he didn't have much to bring back. Maybe he was planning to leave this house after our divorce. But if that happened, I would become the head of the household. This house has been passed down through David's family for generations, so I can't make decisions about it on my own. The next morning, I decided to call Tom's house, the nearest relative. It was Sunday, so Tom was home, but Laura answered the phone. Hello, Laura. I'm sorry for calling so early. I need to talk while David is still asleep.
It's okay. Mornings are fine. But it seems like something happened, right?
I explained about the photo and divorce paper in David's wallet and how he told me to put all his stuff away. Laura, discussing with Tom, who was beside her, tried to come up with some good ideas to help. At that moment, I heard Tom's voice on the other end of the phone.
A week-long business trip?
Tom's curious tone made me wonder too. Laura, can you put Tom on the phone? When I asked Laura, Tom quickly took the phone.
Hello. What's this about David being on a week-long business trip?
Well, David often says he's on long business trips and is away from home for a week at a time.
David's never had a business trip that long. At most, it's been 1 or 2 nights.
Tom's words struck a chord with me. A fake long business trip, the photo with an unfamiliar woman and child. When I mentioned this, Tom seemed to realize something.
Could it be? Emily, do you have that photo with you right now?
Yes, I do.
Can you send a picture of it to either my or Laura's phone?
I quickly took a photo with my phone and sent it to Laura. After seeing the image, Tom told me,
This woman, she's Emma. She used to work at our company. I knew it.
"What do you mean, Tom?" I asked, and Tom sounded a bit uneasy.
Well, this Emma was our office clerk until 2 years ago, but
Tom explained that there had been rumors in the company about Emma having an affair with David, the president. She quit 2 years ago, and some employees speculated that she was pregnant at the time. If the child was conceived at that time, his age would match the child in the photo. If this is true, it's highly likely that David is the father. Was David visiting them while pretending to be on long business trips? Tom handed the phone back to Laura, thinking it would be better for women to discuss infidelity.
Emily, are you okay? Stay strong. By the way, I have an idea.
Laura gave me some advice on what to do next. She and Tom had already discussed matters regarding our house. Since Laura and I talked about everything regularly, our conversation flowed smoothly. "Thank you, Laura. David will be away for a week starting the day after tomorrow, so I'll put the plan into action then." Yes, David would be gone for a week on his fake business trip starting the day after tomorrow. It was perfect timing for me, because my mom would be back in 3 days. I emailed my mom about David and Laura's suggestions. The next day, I started preparing David's luggage for his fake business trip starting the following day. Seeing this, David looked impressed.
Wow, you can do it if you try. It would be great if you could always do things like this without being told.
David didn't seem to remember what he said that night, likely because he was drunk. "Oh, I forgot to mention, my mom is coming back the day after tomorrow. You won't be here since you'll be on your trip, but I'll pass along your regards."
Oh, really? Your mom who had to go work far away. She even showed up to our wedding in such shabby clothes, looking so poor.
David always insults my mom like that. She wasn't working away. He just assumed we were a poor family because I was raised by a single mother. I don't bother correcting him anymore. The next morning, David left our house. I immediately started following Laura's plan. The next day, just before noon, my mom arrived at our house. Laura, who wanted to see my mom, came over too, and the 3 of us decided to go out for lunch. Even though my mom was visiting, she was busy with her work and could only stay for today. She had to leave again tonight.
I read your email. You've been through a lot, but the house is so tidy now.
Yes, I'm sorry. Since you just got back, there's nothing at home, so we have to eat out. Did you take care of my arrangements?
Yes, everything is set. It was last minute, so I couldn't arrange to go with you, but I'm always waiting for you at my place.
She handed me a plane ticket.
That's great, Emily. Looks like everything will go smoothly now. I can't wait to see David's reaction when he gets back.
Yes, it's all thanks to you, Laura. I wouldn't have known what to do on my own. I felt grateful to have such a strong ally in Laura. And I was lucky that my mom returned at the perfect time. Over the next 4 days, I quickly took care of all the arrangements and submitted the divorce papers. Then I left with the plane ticket my mom had given me. At dawn, I looked at my phone and noticed dozens of missed calls. As expected, they were all from David. I figured he'd call again, and soon enough, my phone rang.
Hey, why didn't you answer the phone?
I just woke up.
What? It's already past noon here.
David said that, but where I was, it was still early morning.
Well, that doesn't matter. More importantly, I came home to find the house completely empty. Where did you take all my stuff?
Oh, you told me to put all my stuff away. So, I threw everything out.
What? When did I ever say that?
David must not remember at all because he was drunk at the time. He then asked another question.
And also, the car is gone. Did you take it? Where are you anyway?
I'm in France at my mom's place. David was stunned into silence after my response. Since he didn't say anything back, I continued. Oh, about the car, I sold it before the move. And the house, I've sold it too, so you need to leave soon.
What? Wait a minute. First of all, there's no way your mom is in France. Lying won't help. Come back immediately.
David didn't know anything. He didn't know that my mom had successfully started an apparel brand in France. By the way, the shabby clothes he mentioned my mom wore to our wedding were from her own brand. David, who knew nothing about brands, thought they looked poor. Looking back, David had never been involved in any of the family discussions before our marriage. That's why he just assumed my mom was working far away. Mary had been a regular customer at my mom's store back when she was still in the US. That's why my mom and Mary were old friends, and I had known Mary since I was little. When I explained all this, David suddenly burst out laughing.
Are you stupid? I get it about your mom, but this house has been in my family for generations. I'm the head of this house now, so there's no way you could have sold it without my permission.
I figured he'd say something like that. I sighed. It seems you didn't know something important.
What are you talking about?
Mary had left a notarized will stating that the house and land would be inherited by me for my 20 years of caregiving. Mary understood. Even though David inherited the company his father left, he was such an unreliable president that all the important work was entrusted to Tom, the vice president. And David, who did nothing at home, left even the car purchases up to me. That's why I bought the car in my name. David has not fulfilled his role as a leader in both the family and the company. That's why Mary, concerned about me after her passing, entrusted everything about the house to me. Tom and Laura had also agreed to this at the family meeting. David was present at the meeting, but he didn't listen at all, so he understood nothing. That's the situation. And by the way, your fake long business trips have already been exposed. You were visiting that woman, Emma, weren't you? David's face changed the moment I mentioned Emma's name. I continued, as if to deliver the final blow. Emma's child is yours, isn't it? There were plenty of rumors about you two at your office. Tom is looking into it from the company's list of former employees. By law, they have to keep employment records for 3 years, right? David didn't say anything in response. It seemed like he really left everything about the company to Tom. He would go directly to Emma and confirm the facts. David, resigned to the situation, murmured in a faint voice,
Just come back once, please. I want to talk things over with you, Emily. After all, we're still married.
Oh, we're not married anymore. The signed divorce papers you brought back from your fake trip, I signed them too and submitted them.
What?
David shouted louder than ever in shock when I told him I had filed the divorce papers.
Why did you do that? That was just to calm Emma down because she kept pestering me about when I get divorced. I never intended to divorce you.
How could he have a child with another woman and not want a divorce? Knowing David, it's probably all about appearances. David wanted to keep up appearances by staying married to me while also keeping Emma happy. But I won't be manipulated by such thoughts anymore. Anyway, I still need to finalize the house sale and handle the division of assets. So, I'll return to the US once for that. We'll talk then. With that, I hung up the phone. A month later, I returned to the US to take care of various matters. Since the house was sold, we gathered at Tom's place. David was there, and to my surprise, so were Emma and her son Bob. Apparently, David was now living with Emma. Emma, holding Bob, looked at me with a frightened expression.
Well, I never intended to take David away. He forced himself on me, and now I'm busy raising our child. I can't pay any alimony.
Emma seemed like a timid woman. That being said, she was desperately defending herself even before I had said anything. There's no need to be so scared. I won't ask you for alimony, David. You'll be the one paying it. David's eyes widened as I pointed at him.
That's the same thing. If you take money from me, Emma and Bob's lives will become difficult.
Apparently, they had done a paternity test, confirming that Bob was indeed David's child. Well, you cheated, so it's inevitable. Now you two just need to do your best. It looks like David will have to start job hunting too. David and Emma froze at my words. In fact, rumors had spread throughout the company that David's affair at work had resulted in a child and led to our divorce. As a result, a meeting was held without informing David, and it was decided that he would resign and Tom, the vice president, would become the new president. Laura kept me updated on everything. After I explained everything to David, Tom put a hand on his shoulder.
So, David, you'll be resigning at the end of this month.
David's eyes widened in shock, and he stood there motionless. Emma, holding Bob, started crying. I felt sorry for Bob, but from now on, David and Emma would have to support him as his parents. A while later, I received an email from David. According to the email, after losing his job, David was being supported by Emma working part-time. However, despite this, David didn't help with childcare at all. Unable to bear it any longer, Emma left Bob with her parents. With just the two of them, David's verbal abuse towards Emma only intensified. It was clear as day that if David said the same horrible things to timid Emma as he did to me, it would have a disastrous effect. Emma ended up crying and returning to her parents, never coming back. As a result, David fell into poverty and emailed me saying he didn't know what to do. When I didn't reply, he called.
Emily, why are you ignoring me? It's all your fault for throwing everything away. I have no money, no job. What am I supposed to do now?
Even though he paid alimony, he should have received his share from selling the house and land. Knowing David, he probably squandered it all due to his lack of financial sense. As David kept throwing his selfish complaints at me, I decided to respond in kind. You're acting like the victim. I was forced into a marriage just for appearances and wasted my life. I could have married someone better. How are you going to make up for my lost life? Of course, I didn't mean any of it. But David seemed to take it seriously and was at a loss for words.
Enough.
He said and hung up the phone. David has shown no remorse about his actions at work or home. It's likely that he will continue struggling to find a job and remain in poverty. I told David that I felt my life was wasted, but in truth, I believe no experience is ever truly wasted. Despite everything, I'm now living happily in France with my mom, studying French. I am aiming to use my 20 years of caregiving experience to pursue a career in caregiving here. This is because there are many care facilities in France. Though my mom, who just turned 70, is still healthy and working, I intend to take care of her in the future. But when I mention this, she pouts slightly and says,
I'm still going strong. I probably won't need caregiving as long as I'm alive.
Seeing my mom's determination makes me feel both proud and fond of her. She just lives the way she wants to live. To me, my mom is a lifelong role model as a woman. That's why I plan to stay by my mom's side and continue to pursue my dreams.